Out of the death and violence in Ferguson, Missouri this summer, a turn to be a media star for a man named Shawn Parcells.
First of all, I'm Professor Shawn Parcells.
He dazzled with details on the private autopsy of Michael Brown.
2 gunshot wounds to the head, indicating that Mr. Brown was bending over as they were coming down it.
We're back with Shawn Parcells, who assisted in the autopsy of Michael Brown.
Now Shawn Parcells.
Even here on AC 360,
Shawn Parcells, thank you very much.
He's appeared in the media time and again as a forensic pathology expert. We know he assisted Dr. Michael Baden in the private autopsy commissioned by Michael Brown's family. Baden said he was a good assistant. Parcells is not a doctor. We know he calls himself a forensics medical consultant, a medical investigator, and a professor. But is he what he says he is?
So you call yourself a professor?
Yes.
Where are you a professor?
I'm an adjunct professor at Washburn University in Topeka, Kansas.
But that, as far as we could tell, isn't accurate. We contacted Washburn University. They say while he has spoken to nursing students, he's not now and never been an adjunct professor there.
Washburn University says that's not true.
Okay, I have a contract that states that it is true.
Can you show us that contract?
I can.
But he never sent us that contract showing he was an adjunct professor. He later said it was proprietary.
I see him as a fraud. I mean, that's the best word I would say describes Shawn Parcells to me.
How about you?
Manipulator.
Very good con artist is the way I'd put it.
In Missouri, Deputy Sheriffs Grant Gillette and Dustin Jeffords say Shawn Parcells performed an autopsy procedure in a criminal case without a doctor present.
So he introduced himself as a pathologist, as a medical doctor.
That is correct.
And he seemed believable.
Very well.
So, yes.
I mean, you two are both experienced law enforcement officers, and even you were duped.
Yeah, that's right.
The deputies say without a medical doctor's signature on Robert Forrester's autopsy report, it's not valid.
It's been more than 2 years since the crime. Can you move forward with the prosecution?
We cannot move forward at this time with that case at all.
Why not?
Because the autopsy was not performed legally, so we cannot use any evidence found from the autopsy in a court of law to be used to prosecute any suspects on the case.
That means, according to the deputies, Bobby Forrester, suspected of killing his grandfather, was set free, and he went on to beat up his grandmother. Shawn Parcells says he never told the deputies he was a doctor.
If they want to think I'm a doctor, that's their issue. People assume stuff all the time, and they may never ask. It's bad that they're assuming and that they never ask.
Parcells, who has a bachelor's degree, says he's supervised by medical doctors, but sometimes they're not present when he performs an autopsy procedure.
So you do autopsies where there's not a pathologist or an MD anywhere in the room?
At times. Sometimes the pathologist is there, and sometimes they're not.
You're not an MD?
I'm not an MD.
But it's legal for you to be cutting up bodies, taking organs out, making observations?
Yes.
This, even though a letter on his own company's letterhead states unequivocally that during each and every forensic autopsy conducted, the attending pathologist is present at all times. We always have the attending pathologist present and directing the autopsy examination. And if you think that's shocking, the owner of this funeral home says Parcells promised to arrange for an autopsy on the remains of an unidentified body, but didn't show up for more than a week. Maggots appeared. And where's that body now? Phelps County Deputy Coroner Lennox Jones would love to know. He says he's not heard from Parcells in more than a year. When we asked Parcells, where's the body, we got a barrage of obscenities.
Lennox Jones says that he's never heard back from you.
He has. Holy excuse my language, but I got emails to prove him and I going back and forth, and the fact that he ignores me. He's a You want to be truthful? He is a and I'm sorry to cuss like this on your cameras, but this particular case pisses me off.
Parcells added that the coroner can pick up the body from his morgue in Topeka anytime. So with coroners and law enforcement so angry, why haven't they gone after him? Dr. Mary Case, chief medical examiner for St. Louis County, says prosecutors might be worried. She says some of them may have used his autopsy reports to get convictions they don't want overturned.
It could be a problem for that prosecuting attorney if that prosecutor has
prosecuted somebody based upon Shawn's findings, of course, that's a problem.
For the prosecutor?
For the prosecutor.
So no one wants to go after him?
No one has. No one has to this point.
All right, Elizabeth Cohen joins me now live. Elizabeth, if there are so many questions, so many alleged issues, why do counties keep using this guy's services?
You know, John, we asked that question, and officials in Kansas and Missouri said, look, he charges less than his competitors. And these are small counties. They're financially strapped. Even just saving a few $100s here and there, they said is a big deal.
Comes down to money. Have any of the counties that he's worked for taken any action against him?
You know, John, we know of one county in Missouri that did. They went to the state licensing board and they said, we thought we were getting a pathologist, and Shawn Parcells performed the autopsy without a pathologist present. Now, the board investigated and they closed the case without doing anything. They didn't tell us why, but John, I'll tell you that officials that we talked to there said, look, licensing boards are not necessarily going to be able to do anything because Shawn Parcells, by his own admission, doesn't have a license to do anything, so they can't take that license away.